Adolf Hitler, born April 20, 1889 in Braunau am Inn, then Austria-Hungary. His family, father Alois, a customs officer, and mother Clara Polzel, described as gentle and caring. As a child he struggled in school and later failed twice to gain admission to the Vienna Academy of Fine Arts. His failed art ambitions in 1907-1908 were a turning point. During his years in Vienna he absorbed extreme nationalism, anti-Semitic ideas, and anti-communism circulating in the city. Newspapers and pamphlets shaped his worldview. Hitler volunteered for the German army in World War I, serving on the Western Front. He was wounded and awarded the Iron Cross for bravery. The defeat of Germany in 1918 and the Treaty of Versailles left him bitter and searching for scapegoats. He blamed Jews and communists for Germany's collapse. In 1919 he joined the German Workers' Party, later the NSDAP, where his oratory stood out. Using powerful propaganda and public speaking, he rose to absolute leadership. In 1933, Hitler was appointed Chancellor of Germany. After Hindenburg's death in 1934, he merged the offices and declared himself Führer. The regime installed totalitarian control, propaganda, censorship, and indoctrination of education and culture. Opposition was banned and dissent suppressed. Next, the core ideas that drove Nazi policy: race, expansion, and authoritarianism. An overview of Hitler's ideology. Timeline: 1889 birth, WBY service, 1919 entry into politics, 1933 Chancellor, 1934 Führer. These events set the stage for radical policies to follow, ideology, and early regime actions. At the center, a racial hierarchy claiming Aryan supremacy. The regime idealized physical traits and promoted myths of racial purity. Extreme anti-Semitism identified Jews as scapegoats for national problems. This rhetoric became policy and state practice. Anti-communism was cast as a mortal enemy tied to a Jewish conspiracy. Lebensraum, the policy of eastward expansion to gain living space for Germans. Education and art were reshaped to enforce loyalty to the Führer and state. Propaganda controlled media, culture, and public opinion. Before war, the regime pursued major domestic programs which some Germans saw as achievements. Large infrastructure projects like the Autobahn symbolized economic revival to many. Massive public works and reindustrialization helped reduce unemployment. Simultaneously, secret rearmament rebuilt Germany's military strength in violation of Versailles. Joseph Goebbels managed a propaganda machine that crafted Hitler's image as savior. Public spectacles increased national pride and support, but these successes were bound to a violent, repressive system that targeted minorities and enemies of the state. The next section reviews the catastrophic crimes that followed. By the late 1930s, these policies led from oppression to open war. On September 1, 1939, Germany invaded Poland, igniting World War II. What follows is a sober account of genocide, war, and the collapse of the regime. World War II, 1939-1945, was launched by Nazi expansionism and aggression. The war caused an estimated 70 to 85 million deaths globally. Central to Nazi crimes was the Holocaust, a state-sponsored program of extermination. Bureaucracy and logistics were used to carry out mass murder. Approximately 6 million Jewish men, women, and children were murdered. Millions more Roma were targeted and killed. Disabled people were included in systematic killings. Political dissidents, LGBTQ people, and others were imprisoned and murdered. Operation Barbarossa, the invasion of the Soviet Union, unleashed mass killing and starvation on a massive scale. Civilians suffered overwhelmingly in genocidal warfare across Eastern Europe. At home, the Gestapo and security services arrested, tortured, and executed opponents. Legal and extra-legal systems enforced state terror. As the Third Reich collapsed, Hitler remained in his Berlin bunker. On April 30, 1945, with Germany defeated, he took his own life. The human cost was immense. Millions killed, communities destroyed, cultures erased. Survivors and refugees faced long-term trauma and displacement. For historians and educators, Hitler's legacy is a warning about unchecked authoritarianism and racial hatred. Post-war trials and records document responsibility and the need for justice. Adolf Hitler rebuilt aspects of Germany but did so through hatred, conquest, and mass murder. His story remains one of history's darkest chapters. Like and subscribe to learn more about infamous figures in history. Sources, archival records, museums, and scholarly works. Remember the victims.